Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys a little bit about really the key to getting strong as an advanced lifter. And no, it's not necessary for us to use periodization. We can do concurrent type training, and I'm generally an advocate of that. But basically, I ascribe to what I've heard people even like Lyle McDonald describe as heavy work followed by pump work. Heavy work followed by pump work. And ultimately, what that means is that any way you break it down, the best way to get strong is to do about 10% of your training really heavy. And, approximately, and these are approximations, the other 90% is hypertrophy work. Now, the way they did it at Westside, to again build their elite lifters, is, 10% max effort, 20% dynamic effort, 70%, as he called it, special exercises, which just means your hypertrophy training, right? Your hypertrophy training. So out of all the different systems I've used, mess with stuff, you guys have seen me do max effort every day. You see me do max effort 4 day a week. Training max is 3 day a week, followed by pump work. You've seen me do conjugate ILMI followed by pump work, normal conjugate. I've done 5-3-1, all these different systems, just in building strength at different points and bulking and cutting. I've done all these things with my clients, and even at the time of making this video, I have 33 clients. Many of them advanced lifters, many of them with elite lifts, right? And ultimately, here's, as I've said over and over and over, what does the data show? The data repeatedly shows that size equals strength, and it doesn't matter how many hypothetical individuals you get who, there's this guy over here who lifts this weight at this light body weight, whatever, he's not that big. Well, he might only be good at one lift, right? And usually here's perfect examples. A lot of times you'll see those guys of either they've got really, really massive pecs and triceps and nothing else. They have a big bench, or they seem a little lankier up top, but they're still weighing 180 with a good squat deadlift, extremely lean, and a terrible bench because they lack upper body size. You see those things, but these hypothetical individuals aside, study after study after study shows that generally we can DEXA scan someone and know roughly what their powerlifting total is. They can look at powerlifters, DEXA scan them, we can see this. We can DEXA scan bodybuilders, strength athletes, everyone else. They can determine their max squat from a DEXA scan within 10%. Like studies have been done looking at this. In other words, you don't need to know that. You can literally know what their strength potential is off of a DEXA scan. All right? All hypertrophy raises your strength ceiling. It all raises your strength ceiling. I've heard Dr. Mike Israetel point out that even when he's worked with powerlifters, because he runs periodization, that sometimes after a hypertrophy block, they're magically hitting lifetime PRs. Right? He's run them through a strength block. They have certain PRs, and then he's run them through long phases of hypertrophy blocks, and all of a sudden their lifts are up. They're hitting bigger lifts without even doing a strength block. And it's because hypertrophy is the key. Now, we need that in the context that we still have to lift heavy. Why? Intramuscular coordination, neural drive, the skill of maxing out, the skill of lifting heavy. Lifting heavy is a skill. Okay? Lifting heavy is a skill, and it has to be trained. It has to be trained. But we need to be very, very clear. Once your form is proficient, and if your technique is good and you have your levers down, you don't need large amounts of heavy lifting to maintain and even improve your strength output. Okay, it's not something that we need to spend hours a week doing. We just don't. At the time this video is being made, as I'm peeking for another meet here, I'm doing ramping to one heavy single 3 days a week on a big lift. Then everything after is hypertrophy, hypertrophy, hypertrophy. Let's get as big and as thick as possible, particularly focusing on weak links. Inside of our ability to recover. What does that equal? Well, very similar to the West Side type idea, but without even bothering with the speed work. 10% heavy, and in this case, singles. I mean, what's going to give you the best strength output? heavy singles. They don't have to be full maxes. They can be training maxes. They can be 90%. They can be 93% of your max. 95% of your max. You still get the training response. Okay. And we don't need to worry about those people say, well, we could get more volume out of that by doing rep work. Well, we could. That's how 5-3-1 and other systems work. But you know what? If everything else is volume and hypertrophy, it doesn't matter. Right? It doesn't matter. So what I'm suggesting here is that once we get through all the novice phases, we get more advanced. Generally speaking, guys who are struggling to get stronger, who are already doing heavy lifting, it's because they are just simply not getting thick enough. They are not getting the gains. Their hamstrings aren't big enough, their glutes aren't big enough, their lats aren't big enough, triceps, whatever's lagging. That is what's preventing them from going to that next tier. Okay? And if the majority of your training is geared towards the heavy work, and all these successful systems kind of do that, don't they? Look at the 5-3-1. You really only peak to one heavy set, then you do a bunch of volume. It's probably closer to 20% heavy work, 80% hypertrophy. Conjugates, 10% maxes, 20% speed, 70% hypertrophy. And we even need to lose this idea, well, we can just do, a 5x5 or a 3x5, and that creates hypertrophy. Well, not for advanced lifters. For novices, it works beautifully. It buries you when you're advanced, right? It starts burying your recovery. You can't handle all that. But what you can handle is metabolic fatigue work. You can handle the pump work. And keeping in mind, I'm never suggesting ever that people come in and only do high reps or pump work. I'm not saying that. That 10% heavy is important. That 10% heavy is important. Okay, but it doesn't need to be more than that. And that's why I tell people getting brutally strong doesn't take that much of your time. It really doesn't. Okay, so guys who are even chasing size will just get big and still do your heavy work. You'll still get incredibly strong. You're not making a sacrifice. You don't have to pick between them. Again, it takes very, very little, really one really heavy set or single per workout. Once you're advanced, right? Once you already have some basic neural drive and stuff. And that will get the job done. Everything else after that can be there to get you thicker. And anything you're doing outside of all that should probably be geared towards, plyometrics or conditioning. I prefer if it's geared towards GBP and conditioning. If you're going to do anything else beyond those things, you want to be well-rounded. But I like the 10%, 90% rule. I think it works very, very well. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.